All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, Jeff and Nadu to talk college football and NFL. Jeff, how you doing today, man?
Good. How are you, Clip?
Doing good. Getting ready for some Thursday night football. Got Army Temple in college football and Cowboys Giants in the NFL. Let's start with Army, Jeff, and Temple. And we've talked quite a bit about these teams because you've been on Army a couple of times this year. Easy rocking chair winners, appreciate those, and also talked about how Temple is one of the worst teams in college football. Although I think have a win or two on their resume, a win I believe on their resume. So how about tonight? Is it time to jump off Army? I think I saw what 12 and a half, 13 and a half, something like that in the game tonight. Or are you going to ride with the Black Knights again?
Well, I would probably look towards riding them again. I don't think Temple's very good. I mean, they have made a quarterback change. Maybe their offense has improved a little. This is still an offense that can't move the ball. This is a defense that is poor. I mean, you look at against the run, Temple has really struggled. I mean, allowing 220 yards a game, over 5.3 yards a carry. They've already played Navy, who put up 38, beat them 38-11. And this is a Navy defense that I don't believe is up to the level of Army. So, anytime you bet Army, you're not going to have very many possessions. Temple's not a good team at really making possessions work for them. Army's not going to beat themselves with bad penalties. I felt like anything under 14 was interesting. You look at this line, it opened like 10 and a half, 11.
Hmm.
It was quickly bet up to 13. So,
Yeah, did not know about that line movement, but makes sense looking at what Army has done this year. Jeff, looking at Friday night, you got one big number and then one tight one. First, the 8 o'clock kickoff, Big Ten, Rutgers hosting Washington. I had Rutgers last week. I watched them. Every time I looked up, they're hitting a big pass play. They're moving the ball down the field. Left a lot of points off the board there where they missed a couple field goals. They had a goal line stand. Virginia Tech did. Rutgers could have gone away with that thing. Instead, it was a tight one. They had to win at the end. Having said that, good win on the road. Now they host Washington. And I felt like talking about this one this week, the line was almost telling you to take Washington. Cross country, Rutgers looks like a pretty good team, but the line is only two in this game. Total is low in the 40s. Any thoughts on this one?
well, yeah, remember Washington's off a bye, so I don't really care much about the across the country thing. This is a big
Okay.
game for Rutgers. Obviously, they don't play on Friday nights very often. Throw in the fact that it's at home. But as you alluded to, I think the issue that I still have at Rutgers and laying points is they're not a particularly strong offensive team. You also look at against the run. This team is really struggled. I mean, they're allowing 5.5 yards a carry. I think if you're Washington, you lean on the run here. You let Will Rogers kind of do his thing. He's definitely the better quarterback. I think the problem with this matchup is I'm not really getting a real good number. If I want Washington, I want the 3, and I don't think we're going to get back there. Maybe towards game time. I think one thing that we have to remember as well is in 4 games, Washington's only allowing 10 points a game.
Right.
This defense is still pretty good. We know that over the years they've had some great secondaries. You look at the fact that they played Washington State, held them to just 24 points. And by the way, Clip, I am wrong. Washington's not off a bye. My bad. They did play Northwestern last week, but I'll tell you what, playing Northwestern's like having a bye. And that group is really poor offensively. That said, they were a group that I don't look that much into this kind of stuff as far as having to travel across country. I mean, they're not riding on a bus. It's not like this is all very chartered and everything. So I don't worry much about that. But my apologies on that. That said, still a good defense, Washington. But I want a 3.
Yeah, gotcha. Jeff Nadu joining us. Also coming up on Friday night, Miami and Virginia Tech, and we can circle back to that if you like that one. But wanted to move on to Saturday. I want to hear what you like, but want to hit on a headliner or two. One of the ones that really stands out this week, Jeff, is Illinois Penn State. Penn State, a huge favorite at home at 18. With the total at 47. So they are not thinking that Illinois is going to put many points on the board in this game. Right off the cuff, it feels like it's too many points, which usually means I should probably go Penn State in this one. But I don't know. Is this number warranted, you think, for the Nittany Lions to be favored by that much?
Yeah, I think it's a little high, maybe. But that said, I'm kind of in the whole thought of if I don't like Penn State, I'm just not betting it. I'm done betting against this team, especially when Penn State plays, let's just say, teams they should be a favorite against. They're generally pretty ruthless. I actually remember last year, Clip, I played Penn State in this exact game, laying 14, and they were up big in the game and then kind of let their foot off the gas and almost allowed a late cover. Illinois was driving with about 40 seconds to go and threw a pick, luckily, and Penn State was able to cover, winning by 17. I feel like this number was a little high. Illinois is significantly better. The quarterback plays better. I have to wonder though, when I look, I like by like the fifth game to look at what a team has actually done. And I think in further inspection, I've been pretty impressed with Illinois. I thought last week was a really nice win for that program, going on the road and beating what I thought was a good Nebraska defense and putting up 31 in that game. Beating Kansas was good. I don't know if they're exactly a great team. This I'd put this at like 17, so I feel like the number's about right. I think this is a pretty trendy dog, and I think that's my issue here. It wouldn't surprise me if this game's like 35-13. And maybe Illinois has a shot to cover late, and see something coming through the back door, maybe. But I'm kind of in the thought now with Penn State, where if I don't like them, I just kind of avoid it.
All right, and a void spot there, Jeff. How about we'll get to ECU's game. We'll get to your favorite play for Saturday, but let's talk Georgia Bama. Is there any separating factor here with Georgia a 2-point favorite on the road in Tuscaloosa?
So one of the things I do, Clip, and I would urge anyone, I'm a guy who like I bet decent amounts of money, and I have obviously we all have money saved. And I think nowadays one of the really interesting things about gambling is there are so many things you can bet on. And one of the bets that I made is I took a decent amount of money. I took it out of what I would have in like a high end savings account. I took it and I said, okay, I want to find something that I can double my money on in 6 months because that's more than any savings account's going to pay me. And I do that now with certain high return bets, at least to me. And I thought Alabama to make the playoff at minus 105 was one of the bets that I was going to use that for. And I love that bet. I think even if they lose here, they're still very much a team that will make the playoff. I have that bet. So I'm kind of just hoping that Alabama wins. I think this line's telling you that Bama's probably the play. People are going to see Georgia under 3, but it's pretty rare where you get Alabama as a home dog.
Yeah.
I think you make a case. Jalen Milroe, I mean, he's been terrific. That defense has been pretty good. Something tells me Alabama wins. I am hoping they win for the future standpoint. So I'm just going to lean with Alabama, but I think the number's about right. I think Georgia's kind of a sucker bet here.
Jeff Nadu joining us. Jeff, I know the Pirates are not in your good graces right now. Received a couple of texts from you Saturday night saying keep it going Pirates, and then the one you sent after that was not as nice regarding East Carolina in that football game. So right now, Pirates 4-point favorites at home against UTSA. What do you think about this group now? Can they kind of right the ship here as they begin conference play?
I mean, it's the same old story, though, with East Carolina, Clip. I mean, 2 more turnovers. They now have 14 on the season, the most in America. You just can't win games doing that. And you know that. I don't need to tell you something. You probably talked about it all week. This game, I actually have a play on, Clip. I don't generally have official plays on a lot of these games, but I like the dog here. I don't really know that ECU should be anything above like a 2.5-point favorite. And what do we know, Clip, about this? This is conference play. I'm sure if you're Jeff Traylor, I mean, you're 2-2. This is where your season starts, right? Kind of renewed optimism there.
They've had a weird year, Jeff, where they've
Yeah.
blown out 2 teams and been blown out by 2 teams. We really don't know what they are right now.
We don't. You're right. I will say, though, I think, and you would agree here probably, I had them as one of the better AAC teams, and I think ultimately they will be. Again, I don't care much about games against like Texas and Texas State. They don't mean anything to me. I don't think they mean much to this team. They have 2 wins. The goal is to go win the AAC. And now that Memphis has lost the game, I feel like a lot of teams feel like they have a shot.
Yeah.
I think what concerns me, if you're an ECU fan, 80% of the bets are in ECU, but 65% of the actual money being bet is on UTSA, which tells me very strong indicators are on UTSA. I like them at 4.5. This is down to 3.5 at some spots. Um, with the turnover issues, I think we saw last week. Maybe ECU isn't necessarily as good a defense as maybe we thought. That player being out that I know you've talked about, the corner, not helpful. I like UTSA here.
All right, Jeff Nadu joining us. We'll talk more with Nadu coming up on Saturday. Anything else college, Jeff? You got a favorite play out there for the weekend?
Boise, Washington State over 63.5. This game screams first to 40 wins. Washington State has been very good offensively. They are just like a pogo stick offense. Their quarterback, John Mateer, has been one of the better rushers in the country. Yeah, quarterback. They're off a game where they put 54 on the board against San Jose. The only problem is, Clip, they gave up 52. This is a Boise group averaging almost 9 yards a carry. Washington State's really struggled against the run. I think both these teams early and often score. This is a back and forth matchup. We've seen Boise really struggle to get stops as well, as evident in them giving up 45 against Georgia Southern, 37 against Oregon. They didn't exactly do great last week defensively at times. I gave up almost 300 yards to Portland State. So, yeah, I like the over in this game.
Nadu, I was here on Monday, got a call to the station before we went on at 3 o'clock, and it was longtime listener Philly Al, our guy. Philly Al called in and said he wanted to thank you. He said, I tailed one of Jeff's plays. Should I send him something? I was like,
Oh,
well,
that's nice.
how about just hang on, Al? Let me record this. You can send him a message. So I hadn't played this on the air yet. I got it on my phone here. Let's see if we can hear it. This is Philly Al. All right, so Al, you called into the station, and he said you took Nadu's advice on a pick. How'd it go for you?
Fantastic. I put a little bit on it, and of course I'm a big Philadelphia Eagle fan, but I wasn't going to play it. And last thing he said to you was, "I think I'm going to take the Eagles to win out," and I put some money on it, and I won. I want to thank him a lot.
That's awesome, Philly Al. Well, Philly Al. I'm glad to hear his voice and that he's doing all right. Big fan of Pirate Radio, big fan of the Eagles, and big fan of you right now, Nadu. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that was nice to hear, Clip. I want to shout him out, Philly Al. I'm sure. Is he from? That lives down there, I would imagine now.
He does now, yeah. He's from that area. So back when Temple was winning games in the AAC, he was so pissed off because all his buddies up there would talk junk to him. Now that he's down here and a Pirate, so it was great.
I could hear in his voice he's from this area, and it's. I know he's a big sports fan. I'm glad he can make some money. No, Al, keep your money. Maybe take it and donate it to something you feel comfortable with. That's great to hear. I always love to hear sports fans, young and old, and I'm glad that he found some success with a pick. So hopefully other people do as well.
Real quick, Nadu, got Giants Cowboys tonight. Cowboys have owned the G-men here of late, and then so you can hit on that or anything else you like on Sunday. Any NFL plays you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, for as good as the Cowboys have been, I'm not running to bet them on the road. That said, I mean, they've outscored the Giants 89-17 over the last two games. Cowboys off a very bad performance last week. Though I want to give them some credit. One of my favorite bets last week was Cowboys-Ravens over the total. Them coming through the back door and almost winning that game was helpful because it put the game over the total. As far as that game, I thought it was tough. I didn't have much on it. I think the number's about right. Maybe Cowboys team total over. I think they could put some points on the board. I like Green Bay this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, a lot of people have been buying into what they've been selling, and they've been very good. You got to give them a lot of credit. That said, this is a divisional game. It's a road game. Packers should get Jordan Love back. I think for all intents and purposes, they got to be pretty happy with where they are, 2-1. Probably should have beat the Eagles. Then again, they followed up after losing Love and get 2 wins. So I think both teams are brimming with confidence. The Vikings, though, I'll sell at the highest point with them. Kind of remind me a little bit of the Saints where, they're not at home, but I feel like they're going to come back to earth a little bit. Packers have won 2 of the last 3 against the Vikings and have done it by 20 or more in both games. I don't know if that'll happen here, but I like the Packers at laying 2.5.
Jeff Nadu joining us. We'll hit on some more college football and NFL with you on Saturday on the Bud Light pregame tailgate. Jeff, we appreciate you joining us today, man, and good luck
If
this
I
weekend.
could, if
Go
I could
ahead.
just say one other thing, Clip.
Yeah.
I want some vindication from a lot of people because I said that Jaden Daniels would be the best quarterback in this class, and he is looking so far to be that. As an Eagle fan, facing this guy I mean, he couldn't do anything wrong the other night.
He
That was
almost pitched a perfect game. It was crazy.
Yeah, and listen, I think the Bengals they may have one of the worst defenses in the league. He was really good though. That last throw he made to McLaurin was and good for McLaurin because he's never had a good quarterback there.
Yeah.
Good for him for finding some a quarterback finally.
It got me excited. Washington at Arizona on paper going into the year was not a very exciting game. Now it's like one of the most attractive games on the schedule. Could be a lot of fun.
Well, that's
on Sunday.
that's gonna be a first to 30 win.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a fun game, I think.
I got stuff to look forward to on Sunday now. It's awesome.
How about
Jeff,
that?
yeah, we'll talk to you again soon, man. Thanks for joining us.
All right, Clip. See you, man.